ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ओम सहस्रशीर्षं देवं विश्वाक्षं विश्वशम्भुवं विश्वन्नारायणं देवमक्षरं परमं पदं विश्वतः परमान् नित्यं विश्वन्नारायणगुं हरिं विश्वमेवेदं पुरुषस्तद्विश्वमुपजीवति पतिं विश्वस्यात्मेश्वरगुं शाश्वतगुं शिवमच्युतं नारायणं महाज्ञेयं विश्वात्मानं परायणं नारायण परो ज्योतिरात्मा नारायणः परः नारायण परं ब्रह्म तत्त्वन्नारायणः परः नारायण परो ध्याता ध्यानं नारायणः परः यत्र किञ्चित् जगत् सर्वं दृश्यते श्रूयतेऽपि वा अन्तर्बहिस्तत्सर्वं व्याप्य नारायण स्थितः अनन्तमव्ययम् अपिगुं समुद्रेऽन्तं विश्वशम्भुवं पद्मकोशप्रतीकाशकं हृदयं चाप्यधोमुखम्. So we were looking at the Rig, which is saying that Narayana, the Mahajneyam. So we saw in detail why Narayana is the one to be known. Then Vishwatmanam Parayanam. So Vishwatmanam means Sarvasya Atmanam, the Atma of everyone, every being. So the Sarvatmatvam is a very important thing in the Shastra, being the self of all. Now, when we talk about Bhagavan as the one who is all pervading, obviously we have to talk about this, this Bhagavan as the self of all, as the one who is there in everybody. Then Bhagavan pervades everything. Bhagavan is the self of all. But the important thing here is, it also implies that Bhagavan is yourself. Correct? Bhagavan cannot be different from yourself. So if you really know the Swarupa of Bhagavan, the nature of Bhagavan, nature of Narayana, that nature of Narayana is not different from your own nature. Whatever you call as I, the reality of that I is not different from the reality of the cause of this entire world. Both are same, one and the same. That is why, if you see the Jnana Phalam, the result of Jnanam is talked about as Sarvatmatvam, because the Jnani, the wise person, does not take that I am the self of only this body, this limited body is myself, or I am confined only to this body mind sense complex. That is the vision of the Ajnani, the ignorant person. The wise person, for the wise person, I am the self of all. And in fact, everything is there in me also. So this is there in Ishavasya Upanishad. It is there in Bhagavad Gita. So if you take the Ishavasya, which is a very important Upanishad because it is part of the Samhita itself, Shukla Yajurveda Samhita only it is there. So it says, Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmanyeva Anupashyati Sarva Bhuteshu cha Atmanam Tatona Vijugupsate Yasmin Sarvani Bhutani Atmaiva Abhut Vijanataha Tatrako Moha Kashokaha Ekatvam Anupashyataha. So this is what the Ishavasya says. Yestu sarvani bhutani atmaiva anupashyati means what? All the beings are not separate from yourself. Okay, sarvani bhutani atmaiva anupashyati. So you look upon everything, all the beings is not separate from yourself. They are all only yourself. Okay. Why? Because you being the reality, Satyam, Atma alone is Satyam. Everything else, the entire Mithya Jagat, for that you are the Adhara. They all depend on you for their very existence. Nothing is separate from you. So, you are the self of all. But not only that, correct? You are the self of all is the first part of the vision. Okay, Sarva Bhuteshu cha Atmanam. All the beings are yourself only. You look at it like that. Because yourself alone is Satyam. All the other Mithya Jagat are all dependent on you, like even the pot or the entire clay universe is nothing but clay. The entire gold universe is nothing but gold. You have so many names and forms, all of them are only gold, correct? Like that, this entire world, all the beings are all only you. They are, you look upon them, all of them as yourself. And also, yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva abhut pashyataha. And also, all the beings are in you only. You are in all the beings as the self, and all the beings are in you because you are the self of all. So, both ways it is said. And for such a person, jnani, tatra ko mohaha, kashokaha. So, the one who sees everything as self cannot have any hatred or disgust or any kind of feeling like that towards others, because none of them or nobody is separate from yourself. Tatona vijugupsate also first the Upanishad says. Vijugupsate means grinam na karoti. Okay. So you do not look upon anybody with without compassion or with hatred. Only if you see somebody as other than yourself, you can hate them. Correct? If everybody is yourself, self alone is unconditionally loved. Everything else is for the self alone, for the sake of the self alone, the pleased self. Okay. All the things you love, because those the things which you love invoke a pleased self in you. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati, like that Upanishad also says. So when you look upon everybody as yourself, then you cannot have any hatred, any disgust. All these feelings cannot come towards others because all of them are yourself. Similarly, once you understand that you are Satyam, you are the limitless conscious being, in you everything is there, means then afterwards there is no question of any shoka or moha. There is no delusion that you are a limited being subjected to space time, and there is no shoka because of that. There is no sadness, sorrow. You have become beyond sorrow. There is no source of fear. Only if something other than you is there, it can cause fear, correct? Only you are there and you are the source of all ananda. That is the vision. Vishwatmanam means to understand that, correct? Even Bhagavad Gita also, 6th chapter, Bhagavan says, Sarva Bhutastam Atmanam Sarva Bhutani cha Atmani. See both. Sarva Bhutastam Atmanam. In each and every being, you see yourself. And in yourself, you see all the beings. Sarva Bhutani cha Atmani. Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. So the yogi, the one who has this Jnana Yoga, okay, Ikshate sees, and he has Samadarshanaha Sarvatra. Everything is Samam, same. Why? Because everything is not different from self, oneself. Only if you have that vision, you can have really Samadarshana. So, same thing is said there. Or if you take Brihadaranyaka, Brahmaiva idam agre asit tad atmanam eva avet aham brahmasmiti tasmat tat sarvam abhavat. Like that, this 1:4:10, okay, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the Mahavakya is there, aham brahmasmi. But what is the phalam of knowing that aham brahmasmi, I am this Brahman, which is the limitless, which is the cause of everything? What is the phala? What is the result of knowing that? Tasmat tat sarvam abhavat. You become everything. You become the self of everything. And later on it says, Vamadeva, Rishi Vamadeva says, aham suryaha, aham manuhu, like that. I am Manu, I am Surya Devata, I am everything. In fact, that vision also is beautifully said by the Rishi. So the Rishi's Swanubhava also is then talked about by the Upanishad. So like this, Sarvatmatvam is a very important thing. Don't just think that Bhagavan alone is there as everything. If Bhagavan is there as everything, Bhagavan is not separate from yourself. That is the vision. That is what you have to understand. That is very important. Even when you do the Upasana, you initially start by having Bhagavan as the Upasya, and that then you have to see that Bhagavan in yourself. And that Upasana again has to lead you to the Jnanam, that I am that self of all. Okay, that is what. So that is the final Ayanam, Parayanam, that also we saw. So now further what? Narayana Paro Jyotihi. Okay. Atma Narayana Paraha. So this Narayana is the Paro Jyotihi, Paraha Jyotihi. So Param Jyoti, this Param Jyoti also is said in Chandogya Upanishad, it is there. Param Jyotihi. In the 8th chapter of Chandogya, there also they talk about Brahman as Param Jyotihi. Having known this Brahman as Param Jyotihi, you cross all sorrow, like that. There is a reference is there. So why do we say this Brahman is Jyotihi? Brahman may be limitless, but is it Jadam? Like that, there can be a question, correct? That's why even in Taittiriya Upanishad, Brahmavid apnoti param, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Okay, 3 words are used to reveal Brahman. Brahman is Satyam, you say, that which never changes, that which is the reality of all. Fine. Is it Jadam? Means no. Jnanam. It is consciousness. Its very nature is consciousness, awareness. Wherever you see sentiency, it is all manifest. It is all a manifestation of that one consciousness alone. One consciousness alone is manifesting as sentiency in all the beings, as awareness in all the beings. So this Brahman, to show that it is consciousness, the word Jyotihi is used. Jyotihi means light. Why it is called light? Because normally we think to see something we require light, correct? Even Adi Shankara also has written a Ekashloki. Okay, in the Ekashloki also, and even it is actually a summary of, there is a Swayamjyoti Brahmanam also in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. In all these places, what they lead you, first the question is, how do you see in the daytime? Means with whatever light is there, correct? Sunlight. Okay, if there is no sunlight, how do you see? Moonlight, I see in the moonlight. Okay, if there is no moonlight also, how do you see? Hey, I have Agni, fire. There is no fire also. How do you see? I see with my mind. How? Because when nothing is there also, I can visualize in my mind. In fact, I can create an entire dream world with its own space-time, light, Surya, Chandra, everything in it, correct? I see with my mind. Okay, even when the mind is resolved, how do you see? Means Atma. Atma is the alupta drike. Atma never sleeps. It's always, its eyes are always open. My Guruji used to show like this. Alupta drika means what? It doesn't, at least eyes you can close with your eyelid. But this Atma, unceasing seer. Its seeing never stops. Okay. Drishte drashtaram. Like that also Vashyakara talks about. Atma is the seer of the very sight itself. Because you only know whether you see or not, correct? Whether the eyes see or not itself is known by which consciousness. That consciousness you are. Shrotrasya Shotram, Manaso Manaha, Vachoha Vacham, Sau Pranasya Pranaha, Chakshusha Chakshuhu. Like this also, Kenopanishad talks about. That is the real light. The light which knows whether your ears are hearing or not, whether your mind is thinking or not, whether your organ of speech is speaking or not. Like this, whether the eyes are seeing, ears are hearing, each and every organ, whether they are functioning or not, it is known to which Chaitanyam, which consciousness, that is you. That is the real Jyotihi, correct? Not the other things. This is what is said also. We chant in the temple Arati. Natatra Suryo Bhati na Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kuto Yamagnihi Tameva Bhantam Anubhati Sarvam Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati Natatra Suryaha. This Atma cannot be shined on by Surya, nor Chandra, nor lightning, Vidyut, nor Agni, fire. Why? Because all these things are shining after the Atma only, because they are all getting evident to this Atma. Atma alone is self evident, self revealing, self existent reality. All these things become evident to you, and you don't require any other consciousness to become evident, correct? You are self evident. So you alone really shine. You are the only light, really. That's why Paranjyotihi, Parojyotihi here. Paramatma also. Atma of everybody. Atma who transcends this entire world. Paramatma. Paramatma means don't think that somewhere Paramatma is sitting. Para means everybody thinks somewhere up and all that. It's not like that. Paramatma is yourself only. yourself which transcends this entire space-time. That is Paramatma. Individual self means you think individual self is confined to this body, mind, sense complex. That we say Jivatma. But if you understand your reality as not someone who is confined, limited, but your reality is that you are the limitless conscious being, means that is Paramatma. And that is Param Brahma also. Narayana is not different from this Param Brahma. Narayana means we think the one who is sleeping on Ananta in the Milky Ocean. That's how the Puranas are revealing Narayana, Vishnu. Fine. That is only the Sthula Rupa. But what is the reality of that Narayana? Narayana is not separate from Param Brahma. Narayana is the Jagat Karanam. Is the cause of this entire world. And that Param Brahma is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. That's how the Upanishads are revealing this Brahman, and Narayana is Brahman, Param Brahma. And Narayana is the Param Brahma Tattvam. Tattvam means what? Tasyatvam, Tattvam means the reality of anything is Tattvam. If you analyze anything, the reality of that is only Param Brahma. In fact, everything goes to, you can keep on reducing whatever it is, further, further, further. You say pot is gold. Gold is nothing but molecules. Molecules are nothing but cells or atoms. And atoms are nothing but subatomic particles. Like that, you can keep on going. And finally, you have to have an observer. In Chaitanyam comes. Then how many Chaitanyam are there? Means there is only one Chaitanya. You cannot objectify Chaitanyam. Understand? You are only objectifying other bodies. When you see other beings also, sentient beings, you are not really seeing another Chaitanyam or consciousness. There is only one consciousness which is self-revealing. Consciousness can never be objectified. That's why it is only one. That consciousness alone is manifest everywhere. That is the reality. That's why it is the Paratattvam also. You have to understand that reality. And when you understand that reality, then what? There are no three things. Normally we say everything, every experience means there is an experienced, there is an experiencer, and an experience, let us say. That is called Triputi. Once you understand this truth, there is no Triputi, there is only one. Because this Triputi itself is all interdependent, mutually dependent. Correct? In fact, that's what the next line. In fact, this next line is not there in some pathas. Only in Andhra Patha it is there. And even these two, the previous two lines are there, correct? Narayana Paro Jyotiratma Narayana Paraha. In some pathas, they come ulta, in fact, the order. First Narayanam Param Brahma Tattvam Narayana Paraha comes, and then Narayana Paro Jyotiratma comes. But in this reading, we see the Narayana Paro Jyotiratma Narayana Paraha like that. Narayana Param Brahma Tattvam Narayana Paraha. Even here, one grammatical point is this Narayana. Narayana is the Pratipadika. It is the noun stem. Narayanaha is the Prathama Sayanacharya says Narayana is a Chandasa Prayoga. Like that grammar point also Sayanacharya makes, the commentator here. And this Narayana is the Parodhyata and Paraha Dhyanam also. Dhyanam, Dhyata, Dhyanam, everything is this Narayana only. And Dhyayam, of course, is Narayana. Nothing. See, Dhyanam, Dhyata, Dhyayam. Dhyayam or Nyayam also already was talked about. Mahajnayam. So this whole Narayana Sutta is about Narayana as the Upasya or Dhyaya. The one to be meditated upon is Narayana. Fine. But what about the meditator? Is the meditator separate from Narayana? Means no. Meditator also is Narayana. Meditation itself is Narayana. So that which is meditated upon, the meditator and meditation, experiencer, experienced, experience, whichever way you look at it, the Triputi, we call it, threefold things. Correct? Known object, knower, knowledge. Like this, the one who is cognizing, cognizer, cognition, cognized object, whichever way you look at it, all these three are only one reality. They are not three different things. Clear? So Narayana Parodhyata, Narayana is the Dhyata also. Narayana is not only the Dhyayam, the Upasya Murti, the one whom you meditate on, but meditator also is not separate from this Narayana. And the action, the meditation also, Dhyanam also is only Narayana. Okay? Everything is Narayana. This Sarvatmatvam, Sarva Vyapakatvam, all pervading nature of Narayana only is repeatedly revealed here. Why it is repeatedly revealed? Because it's not very easy to appreciate. Correct? So it has to be understood. Unless an insight is repeated, it will not become your knowledge. Understand that. You may get an insight, but for that insight to become your own knowledge and transform you, it requires repetition. So Vedanta itself is totally repetition only. Vedanta subject matter is simple. It can be taught, but it takes a long time for it to be assimilated. And for the vision of Vedanta to transform yourself, the way you look at yourself has to change. For that, it will take time. You have to repeat. But this repetition itself is very enjoyable repetition. Understand that. You never get tired understanding this self as the limitless. In fact, we never get tired even looking at our own face on the mirror. Every day you get up, you look at yourself on the mirror. Even this body where the identity with the self is there, you don't get tired or bored. Everybody has a certain, they are all always, uh, you all have some narcissism, correct? Everybody enjoys looking at themselves. That is even more nowadays with all this selfie and all that, correct? Everybody is posting their selfie everywhere. Anyway, so repetition is not a problem. It's not a dosha. Already we saw that because the word Narayana also keeps on repeating here. And the same all-pervasive nature of Narayana is further explained here beautifully. What? Yascha kinchit jagat sarvam drishyate shruyate piva. So this jagat sarvam, whatever is this all this world, and all this world, how do we look at this world? Something which you can see, whatever is nearby, till the distance where your sight can reveal something, all that you see, and whatever is beyond your sight, you hear about it. Correct? Shruyate, drishyate, shruyate. Drishyate means what? All that you can see with your own eyes, and even that which you cannot see, you hear about. Nowadays, with television and all that, you can see a lot more. But even then, certain things you have never seen, you cannot see, you can only hear about it. So whether it is something you can see or something about which you only hear, or let us take heaven. Heaven nobody has seen, or even if somebody says I have gone to heaven, seen, and I came back tonight, means you are not going to believe that person. He will send him to some mental hospital or something. So heaven is only heard, it is totally paroksha. Other lokas and all, Veda only is talking. And we take it as knowledge because we accept the Veda as a pramana. Correct? So we accept the Veda as a pramana. Therefore we say it is valid, but still it is paroksha only, it is indirect. We have not directly experienced heaven or swarga or some other loka, Brahma loka and all that. So whether you can see something or whether you only hear about it, whatever it is, Jagat Sarvam, this entire world can either be seen or you hear about it, and all that what is pervaded by this Narayana, and how the pervasion happens all over. Antar Bahischa. Narayana pervades inside, outside, everywhere. Like even the gold pervades, correct? The bangle, chain, any jewelry, any golden jewelry you take, inside the jewelry is what? Gold. Outside also gold. Everywhere gold. It is in fact only gold. Like that, only Narayana is there. That is the vision. Correct? Antar Bahischa, inside, outside, wherever it is, everywhere only Narayana is there. Tat Sarvam Vyapya. So Narayana alone pervades everything. Narayana Sthitaha. Narayana is there, pervading everything. This only is again talked about in the Purana story also, correct? Prahlada story. Hiranyakashipu asks, where is your Narayana? Where is your Vishnu? Means Hiranyakashipu is Ahankara. Ahankara Swarupa only is Hiranyakashipu. Ahankara is individual I, ego. Individual I is all limited, separated, delusional, thinks that one is separate from everything, and by that only you become small. World is so big. Then what? You become a ninja. You are all the time struggling. World is so big, I am so small. Everything is against me. That is the kind of attitude. So with that attitude, it's not easy to understand that everything is pervaded by Bhagavan. But Prahlada, Bhakta, Prahlada says Narayana is everywhere. Narayana is there in this pillar. Narayana is there even in a speck of dust. Then what does Hiranyakashipu do? He breaks the pillar. Let me see whether your Narayana is there here. Narayana comes as Narasimha. So that is the vision. The one who is pervading everything, all pervading. So this all pervasiveness of Bhagavan as the Upadana Karana, as the material cause of everything, is something one has to appreciate. Initially, again, this may not be very clear, but unless you appreciate everything is a manifestation of Bhagavan, You have to understand Bhagavan as all the orders which are manifesting also. Whether it is a physical order, chemical order, biological order, psychological order, moral order. That is what we call dharma. Bhagavan supports this entire creation. How? By all these orders only. Everything there is a law. Everywhere laws are there. Correct? If the laws themselves keep changing, if there are no laws, everything will be only chaos. You cannot, whatever world we are encountering today, we can understand that, we can study that, we can interact only because all these laws are there. Only the laws are supporting the universe as we are encountering it. Otherwise, there is no universe. It will all be only chaos. That's why that is dharma. And Bhagavan is manifest as dharma also. The one who supports everything as the order. Everything is in order, including mosquitoes. Understand that. Even though as an individual you don't like mosquitoes, but at the end of the day, mosquitoes are also Bhagavan only. In fact, in Sri Rudram, even Stenanam Patihi, Bhagavan is called the chief of all the thieves. And different types of thieves are talked about there. Naktan Charaha and all that. One who comes at night. Okay. So we do not have any dichotomy, good, evil, and all that. Whatever is there, everything is a manifestation of Bhagavan only. So it requires a certain maturity to appreciate that. And it has to be again talked about repeatedly. So this Sarvatmatvam, Sarva Vyapakatvam of Narayana is to be understood. For that we have to understand Bhagavan as the Upadana Karanam also. Everybody understands Bhagavan as the creator. All theologies are talking about Bhagavan as the creator, Nimitta Karana. But Vaidika vision, the Vedic vision is what? Bhagavan is not only the Nimitta Karana, Bhagavan is also the Upadana. Bhagavan himself or herself is manifest as all that is here. Like even the gold is manifest as the entire golden universe of names and forms, as all the jewelries, all the golden things are nothing but gold. Like that, Bhagavan alone is manifest as everything that is here. Whatever you like, whatever you dislike, everything is Bhagavan only. That has to be appreciated. Once you are able to see like that, then the world is not going to trouble you anymore. Everything is in order. Whatever is apparently disorder also is in order only. Everything is part of Bhagavan's order. That is the vision that has to be appreciated. So Antar Bahischa Satsarvam Vyapya Narayana Sthitaha. And this Narayana, further what? Anantam Avyayam Kavigum Samudrentam Vishwashambhuvam. Narayana is Anantam, limitless. So Anantam means, again we understand it in threefold ways. Okay, Deshataha, Kalataha, Vastutaha we say. With reference to space, also Narayana is Ananta. That means you don't have to go to a particular place to see Bhagavan. You cannot locate Bhagavan in some Vaikunta or Kailasha or Golok Vrindavan or heaven or whatever. If you locate Bhagavan, then Bhagavan is no more Ananta, correct? Bhagavan becomes limited. So Bhagavan cannot be located spatially. In fact, in Bhagavan space is there. In fact, Bhagavan is there as space. That way also you can say. Correct? So Bhagavan transcends space. Then what about time? Time also is Bhagavan. Time is nothing but change, correct? And all change is apparently happening only in one reality which is supporting this entire space time. So the space time itself is not separate from Bhagavan, or it is there in Bhagavan. Bhagavan exists by transcending space time. Hey, how can I understand that? Means every night when you sleep, there is no space time, but you are there, correct? So existence means don't think that it has to exist in space time. That is a wrong understanding. Existence transcends space time. Space time exists in this existence, correct? Space time is in you, in reality. You are not in space time, but when you wake up, you think you are in space time. That is the ignorance, that is the delusion. Or even when you wake up in the waking world or dream world, in both, you become one of the beings in the space time which you yourself have created. You think you are limited, you are deluded, then you are going through all the difficulties of life. That is what one has to understand. But you are Anantam, okay, with reference to space and time, but with reference to all objects also. Everything is a manifestation of Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the Upadana Karana of everything. No object is separate from Bhagavan. That's why we say Bhagavan is the meaning of all the words. And Bhagavan is not the meaning of any one particular word. Is that clear? You cannot say Bhagavan is the meaning of this word alone. Then you are making Bhagavan limited. But in reality, Bhagavan is the meaning of all the words. That is the beauty. Bhagavan is the meaning of all the words, but Bhagavan is not the meaning of any one particular word. That itself you have to understand only through words. Okay, that is the beauty of words. In fact, we have to reveal to you something which is not the meaning of any one particular word. Upanishad itself says, Yato vacho nivartante apraapya manasa saha. So, from which all the words return, in fact. Why? Because they cannot reveal as their meaning this Vastu. Because this Ananta Vastu, this limitless conscious being, is not the meaning of any one particular word. And it cannot be objectified by your mind also. Along with the mind, words return. Fine. Then what? People say, okay, then it cannot be taught through words. It is beyond books. Don't waste your time reading books. Don't waste your time listening to some Vedanta class. Go and sit and meditate. In the white heat of meditation, suddenly you will get a glorious experience of oneness. Like that, people are sitting for years. I have seen nothing happens. So words alone they have to reveal to you this truth also. Understand that through the words we understand that Brahman is not the meaning of any one particular word. It is not an object of your knowledge. Means what? It is yourself. It is the subject. It cannot be objectified and known. Means it's not the meaning that you cannot know it. In fact, you need not objectify Brahman. That is the beauty, because it's self-revealing, self-evident. So all that is required is removal of ignorance. So the words come and remove all your wrong notions about yourself, about Brahman. And then Brahman is as it is, because it is always self-revealing. It need not be objectified. So all that is required is destruction of ignorance about oneself. Atma is already Swaprakashaha, Paranjyotihi. It keeps shining as it is. That's all. All that is required is all wrong notions has to go away. So this Narayana is Anantam, unlimited. You cannot locate this Narayana somewhere. Avyayam, never, Navyeti, never declines, never changes. I already told you, correct? Truth means what? That which never changes. Once you have ascertained it as this, it is always the same. It can never be negated. That which can never be negated alone is truth. That is the definition we give. Nobody can break this definition. Understand that. Because many people say truth cannot be defined, truth cannot be known, truth is a pathless land. All that quotations are all given. Don't go by all that. Truth can be defined, truth can be revealed, truth can be taught. That is why we have a Guru Shishya Parampara. That is why there is a Sampradaya also. There is a teaching methodology. If you don't know the teaching methodology, then you will be confusing everybody. That is the problem. So there is a teaching methodology is available. The negator can never be negated. And negator is yourself. You are the truth, in fact. It's as simple as that. Of course, as I told you, it takes some time to assimilate this knowledge, and it takes time for it to transform yourself. Your vision of yourself has to be transformed, but that doesn't mean it cannot be taught, or this knowledge can never be acquired and all that. So avyayam, kavim means all knowledge. Bhagavan is not just all pervading. Bhagavan is all knowledge, because unless all knowledge is there, all these things cannot come. Every creation presupposes knowledge, correct? The potter has to know what is a pot, how to create it, etc. Only when the knowledge is there, then the creation comes. That's why Bhagavan, in fact, Brahman first becomes Sarvajnaha, as though becomes Sarvajna. And from that only everything comes. Yasya Jnanamayam Tapaha, like that also we say. So Brahman did tapas, it seems. Why should Brahman do any tapas? Here tapas is Jnanamayam. Identification with all knowledge itself is tapas. Okay. And then from that everything came. Satapo tapyata, satapas taptva, idagum sarvam asrijata. Okay. Having identified with all knowledge, then everything got created. Even there is no effort or anything. It's effortless. So Kavim, Sarvajnaha, all knowing, Samudrentam, Samudraha means this samsara is called here Samudra, because it is also endless like the ocean. Ocean is very vast. This life of becoming also is endless. It's vicious. This samsara, where you keep on going from one thing to the other. You want to become something because you want to see yourself as free from some limitation. But even after you become that, there are other limitations are there. It's a never-ending thing. How much ever you add finite things to another finite thing, it will still be finite. It is never going to become infinite. So you cannot overcome all your limitations by acquiring something. As long as you do that, you are a samsari, samyak sarati. You are in samsara, you are in a life of becoming, keep on becoming something, never ending. That's why it is samudra, it is like samudra. But Bhagavan Narayana is what? Samudrentam. He is the end. Avasana. If you know Narayana, then the Samudra is not there anymore. The Bhava Sagar Sukh Gayi, like that Meera says. It's not that we also sometimes talk about this analogy of a boat. You are you are crossing the ocean on the boat and all that. But even that is not a good analogy. Real analogy is what? There is no Samudra, in fact. Everything evaporated straight away. You thought it is a Samudra. Samsara is a Samudra. Samsara is endless and all that. In reality, it is not even there. Once you know the truth, it just vanishes. It's not there anymore. It evaporates as though. So Bhagavan is the one who vaporizes this entire samsara samudra. So Samudrentam Vishwashambhuvam. And also the one who is the source of all Ananda in this world. Vishwashambhu. Shambhu means what? One who is Mangalamaya, auspicious, and also Ananda Swarupa. So Yasya, this Upanishad also says, Matram Upajivanti, like that. Asya Anandasya Matram Upajivanti. All these beings, whatever sukha you enjoy as an individual, whatever pleasures you enjoy, everything is only from this Brahman alone, it is there. Brahman is the source of all Ananda, and that is what is taught in there is a, in the Bredarnika also, this Maitreyi Brahmanam is there. So that is where this Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati, everything else you love conditionally. What is the condition? It has to invoke the pleased self in you. If something invokes displeased self, then you don't like it anymore. You don't love it. You hate it. You want to avoid. But whatever invokes the pleased self in you, that alone you love. Priyam Bhavati. Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. There is a huge list is given there. But self alone is unconditionally loved. And whatever is unconditionally loved has to be the source of all happiness. Understand that. Everything else is conditional. Self is unconditional. It is the source of all happiness. Vishwashambhuvam. Okay. So like this, the Swarupa of Narayana has been talked about. Now, how do I do Upasana of this Narayana? Upasana means you have to visualize. So this is Ahangraha Upasana. You visualize Narayana in yourself. And again, self means most of us, first self is only this body. So now what? You visualize this Narayana is there in your body only. Where? Where do I visualize this Narayana in my body means that also Upanishad is giving you. So those who cannot understand the vision of the Veda, first visualize at least. Through this visualization, you gain certain Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Naishtalya. Then you will understand whatever the vision which is being revealed by the Veda. So what do you now visualize? How do you meditate on this Narayana means? Padmakosha pratikashagam hridayam chapyadho mukham. Padmakosha pratikasham. Pratikasham means one who appears or manifests. Where? Padmakosha, in the center of the lotus, it says. Okay. What is this center of lotus? What is this lotus? Lotus is your own heart. Your heart is your lotus. The lotus which is talked about here is your heart. The center of that lotus only, Narayana is manifest as the sentiency, as your own awareness. Padma Kosham Pratikasham Hridayam. So what kind of heart it is again? Means Adho Mukham. So normally this Ashtadala Padma, let us say a lotus with 8 petals is like this, correct? It is Urdhva Mukha. It's facing up, lotus. But this lotus is like this, Adho Mukha, facing down. So you have this lotus in your own body, the heart. In fact, where it is also, it is said here, Adho Nishtya Vitastyante Nabhyamuparitishthati. Okay, Nishtya. Nishti means this neck, correct? Griva. And in that, the Adam's apple, whatever we say, or the middle of your neck is called Nishti. Adho Nishtya means below this Nishti. Vitastyante. Vitasti means what? 12 angulas is called this Vitasya. Means 12 inches below. And Nabhyam Upari, above your Nabhi, your navel. Above your navel, below your neck, at the distance of 12 inches, let us say, around. That is where this lotus is there, which is facing downwards. That is your heart. And that is where Narayana is manifest. So you do this upasana, Narayana is there in your own heart, in the middle of your body. That is the upasana. So you invoke Narayana in yourself. You visualize Narayana in this heart, which is like a lotus, which is facing down. Like this is the upasana, the meditation you do, the visualization you do in yourself. Narayana, who is all these things which we are talking about, correct? All pervading Narayana, who is Ananta, who pervades everything, who is all knowing, who is the source of all happiness, is manifest in you, in your own heart, is appearing there. Means, really speaking, he is available to know in yourself, in your own buddhi. Okay, that is what is the tatparya here. Because there is a pravesha shruti also. Having created, this Brahman entered the creation. Tat srishtva tadeva nupravishat. So Bhagavan has entered you. Bhagavan is available. Entered you means what? Bhagavan is available in yourself to know. And if that is again very subtle, not easy to understand, first visualize this Narayana is there in your heart. Do this meditation. Correct? Then you will understand slowly that Narayana is not only manifest in your heart, Narayana is manifest everywhere. Narayana is everything, and that Narayana is not separate from yourself. That is the vision one has to understand. But this is a good start, correct? Visualize Narayana in yourself. You thought you are this useless person and all that. Everybody has some complex about themselves, oneself. But in reality, Narayana is the one who is sitting inside you. Understand that Bhagavan is there in your heart. So you are not something or somebody. You are the body. You are everybody. In fact, you are the most important thing. because Bhagavan is sitting there in your heart. So that is the vision that has to be visualized. That is the meditation here. That is the upasana. In your own heart, you see Narayana. Further, we'll see next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद
धन्यवाद गुरुजी।
धन्यवाद